Damn, I've got so much shit I want to get off my fucking get off my chest right now. Fuck, where do we even start? Okay, first of all, can we let okay, guys, I'm being serious about this. Are you listening? Wait, I'm gonna zoom in to punctuate the seriousness of this statement. Probably move it a little up. There we go. Guys, support the Hong Kong protesters. Okay? Listen, I've seen a lot of lefties, most of them tankies, with some really fucking stupid takes on this. Okay? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a rundown, okay? For those of you who don't know. Hong Kong was, up until the 1990s, owned by the British. They acquired Hong Kong from China on a 100-year lease. And after that lease expired, the English, in a actually somewhat uncharacteristic display of trustworthiness, returned that property to China. So because it was owned by England for 100 years, Hong Kong was comparatively Western compared to the dystopic hell state that China currently is. And you're lying if you think China isn't currently a dystopic hell state, because it is. It's worse than America. A lot of people, a lot of lefties are Americans, and a lot of fucking, they're, America is the worst place that exists. Every other place is better than America. We support all other nations over America. There's no way other nations' imperialism comes even close to America's. No. Shut the fuck up. There are other places worse than America, not just domestically, but globally. Right now, China's doing its fucking neo-imperialist, capitalist shit in Africa, just as bad as we're doing with the IMF and World Bank. Right now, China is suppressing its citizens to an extent that America can only fucking dream of. The social credit system, the great firewall that blocks Google and Twitter and what have you, the propaganda disinfo campaigns run by the state, these things are far worse than what Americans have to contend with. I know there's always this, but American governments run propaganda too. I know. All governments do. China does it worse. China is bad. China is a dystopic hell state that represses the shit out of its workers, that silences journalists, that arrests artists. It is not a good place. It is a very bad place, in fact. And it's not even close to being socialist or communist. Like, don't even think of defending it on those grounds. And the Hong Kong protesters are right now protesting against that tyranny. They are protesting against that autocracy, against that brutal state suppression. And if you look at those millions of peoples, many of them workers, many of them members of the proletariat, I'd imagine almost all of them, if you look down on these people and sneer, you're falling victim to imperialist Western propaganda. How dare you stand with the Western powers against China? Fuck off, please. Seriously, fuck off, okay? Not only are you not helping anyone, you're actively hurting workers' movements, okay? Absolutely, 100%. Just because the West broadly supports the Hong Kong shit does not mean that it is a bad thing. Quit acting like a fucking child, okay? Hey, guys, have you ever seen Nazis argue that because leftists like myself like open borders, that means we're actually capitalists because we're doing what the capitalist overlords want? You know how that's a really bad argument? You're doing the exact same fucking thing when you say that you have to oppose the Hong Kong protesters because the West is in favor of them. Okay? Stop. Stop. You will not be looked upon favorably by anyone, you fucking basement-dwelling tanky LARP shitheads. You Stalin apologist, Holdemer fucking clout obfuscators. Shut the fuck up. There are millions of people who are resisting an autocratic state looking to integrate them into their brutal, socially repressive regime, and we should stand in favor of that. So if some of them get a little bit too liberal, a little bit too Western, a little bit too much imperialist Western propaganda getting involved, okay, sure, we can do something about that. Fight against that too. But you can fight against that without also condemning millions of people to living in a hell state. Fuck off. Stop. How's the CIA money, Vosh? Love my CIA money. I love it. There's nothing. The CIA loves to give me money for more than when I stand in favor of millions and millions of protesters defending their rights against a autocratic state. Vosh going harder on Tankies than fascists, lol? No, that's not true. I go much harder on fascists than I do on Tankies. But Tankies are really fucking stupid. Can we be real right now? Most Tankies are fucking pathetic. Listen, fuck left unity for a second. Most Tankies are fucking pathetic LARPers who got all of their interest in leftism from the aesthetics. They played fucking Red Alert 3 when they were younger, or they play World of Tanks as the Russian tank. They love that shit. They love the aesthetics, okay? They have the flags, they have the uniforms, they've dressed up as them for Halloween, and that for them, that was the incentive to get in. Not some broad philosophical principles concerning the rights of humans or what we can do to make the world a better place. They got into this shit because they really like the aesthetics. And do you know what political movement is broadly defined by an interest in militarized aestheticism? Well, I'm not going to say it's fascism, but I will say that it rhymes with mashism. There are so many Tankies who grow up to be reactionaries later in life, and so many reactionaries who then switch into being Tankies. And the reason for this is because they are not very dissimilar. You do not root your political motivations in an interest in bettering people, but rather a reactionary interest in speaking ill against things that personally bug you. Whether they be black people or capitalism, you have not grounded your fucking axioms, my friends. Tankies are fucking embarrassing. Every single fucking time I go out there and I think, today I'm gonna give a little bit more credit to Tankies. Okay, alright. Left unity. I go out there and I see them making some dumb shit fucking takes. Like the people in Hong Kong should lay down and let fucking state capitalist China suppress them because the alternative would be to be a little bit too liberal for their taste. I don't know. I mean, I guess brutal state authoritarianism and suppression of political dissent is bad, yeah, but I saw a couple of the Hong Kong protesters saying nice things about America and England. Yeah. I know Assad commits fucking ethnic genocide, the piece of shit rule, but isn't Assad cool? He sure has outlasted a lot of assassination attempts. Look at this funny picture of him standing behind a podium. Here's a meme I made. This is America saying, you must go. Then Assad said, who must go? And then 9/11 happened, and Assad laughs. This is the engagement that these people have. This is the extent to which these people engage with political theory. Tankies like history because history makes it easy to glorify states and conquest and war and genocide and atrocity because that's what they get in on. Yeah, well, I would consider myself an expert on the Soviet Union. Oh, so you study their culture or their social system or the economic fluctuations, or oh, so you studied the predominant philosophical or artistic well, no, but I know a lot about what Stalin did, and I know a lot about the wars they fought in World War II. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, buddy. Shut the fuck up. Do you know how many fucking LARPy white supremacists are super duper into the history of the Crusades as well? Super duper into the history of World War II? Because getting into history, because getting real fucking excited about history makes it easy for you to cobble together some mishmash Frankenstein amalgamation of facts that allows you to defend what other dumb fuck authoritarian regime you personally have a hard on for. Shut the fuck up. Vasha, Tanky is anyone who's not an anarcho-primitivist vegan, right? No, I'm not falling for any of that shit today. I'm talking about a very specific group of authoritarian leftists who will decry fucking anything. They will decry fucking dentistry in Hong Kong if fucking American dentists come out in support of it, okay? I am speaking to these people who don't give a fuck about human beings, who don't give a fuck about happiness, who give a shit exclusively about whatever political ideology allows them to get their fucking basement edgy Tweller teenage rage out against capitalism or against Western imperialists. Vosh, you mean anyone you disagree with? Also wrong, comrade. And D King, this is not the first time you've had dumb shit takes in my chat. So it's delightful to see you saying something smarky to me now because it reminds me of the truth I am speaking valiantly in the face of state oppressive cunts like you. So not just MLs in general? No, there are good MLs. There are unquestionably good MLs. But there are a lot of fucking tankies who call themselves MLs, you hear? It's all the Brits' fault? I mean, it probably is all the Brits' fault if you think about it. If you go back far enough. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with being a Marxist-Leninist, you know. Marx was rad, obviously. Lenin was also a pretty fucking cogent and intelligent political writer who had strong ideas and genuinely wanted to implement a communist state. Socialist state, transition to communism. So there's nothing wrong with like taking from Lenin's work. I disagree with some of it, but I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with that. But let's be real, okay? Let's be fucking real. Most tankies don't give a fuck about what about Lenin actually wrote. Most tankies don't actually give a fuck about like the state and politics and the vanguard party is an essential component of securing the proletarian dictatorship because you need a small... They don't give a fuck about that shit. They give a fuck about the color red. They give a fuck about the T-80s. They give a fuck about the fancy hats and the medals on the front of the uniform. I know that because I speak to tankies. This is not the first... Do you think I don't speak to tankies? Do you think I haven't interacted with these cunts before? This is what they are like. They are so fucking close to just being reactionaries. The way they fucking ramble on about class reductionism, and how it's unnecessary and anti-revolutionary, counter-revolutionary, in fact, to argue in favor of things like, say, LGBT rights or trans rights or racial equality because you're distracting from the true unifying oppression that we all experience, which is class oppression. They're really so fucking close to being reactionaries. Fucking Boot in my server, who was known for being a fucking trans girl Nazi, who would like dox people and was part of like a whole bunch of like doxing servers. Real shithead, she. Full Nazi white supremacist. I blink, now she's a tanky. Now she's a Marxist-Leninist. What a jump you've made, Boot. Wow. Incredible. What a tremendous distance you've leapt. I wonder if there were any fundamental similarities between the aesthetics of fascism and the aesthetics of tankyism that allowed you to make that leap. Accurate meme. I love accurate memes. I want to see it. I want to see this accurate meme. It's not horseshoe theory because because tankies aren't leftists. They really are not. What are principal theories of leftism here? Let me think. Solidarity with the working class, abolition of hierarchy, unification of people's common interests, equality, destruction of oppression, economic theories that promote collaboration rather than competition. These are things that I think of when I think of like leftism as like a general strain of thought. And there are many divergences, and I'm oversimplifying here, but that's what I tend to think of, okay? So what are tankies all about? Well, excuse me. Tankies don't really seem to be in favor of workers' liberation because they'll unironically defend fucking Stalinist Russia, fucking Mao China, fucking modern China, Dengis China. They'll defend like Assad and shit. So like they keep defending authoritarian regimes that have absolutely dog shit records when it comes to workers' rights. Brutally suppressive states that treat their people worse than America does theirs nowadays. So it's not really workers' liberation they're going for. It's certainly not equality with how often they talk down fucking any kind of like social movements like LGBT or racial equality or anything like that. They're definitely like not in favor of liberating like economic theories because they're in favor of like state autocracies. What? So like what? So how are they leftist? It's not horseshoe theory. Here, look. Look. Watch. Check this out. Watch. Watch. Wait, I don't need to click that. I can click this. Listen, I'm giving you guys the true horseshoe. Okay? Are you ready? Fucking observe. Okay? Watch. Okay, here we go. Get ready for it. Okay. Here it is. It's beautiful. I call it the dipshit theory. Okay? Watch. Observe. Okay? So over here, this is the left side of the horseshoe, okay? And over here, you have glorious... I forget how to draw hammer and sickle. Is that it? Is that close enough? That's close enough. Okay? Glorious hammer and sickle. Glorious anarchism. Amazing. Look at that. Wow. And then you get round to the dipshit end, and here you have reactionary politics. And some of them, okay, some of them do fucking fascy shit, where they get super into the aesthetics of like Nazi Germany and Italy, and sometimes if you're fucking edgy enough, like Imperial Japan. And then over here, you get super fucking duper into the aesthetics of, how do we represent the Soviet Union? I guess I already did the hammer and sickle. What's even more Soviet Union than that? Let's just do a star. I don't know. Bam. That's what a star looks like. Oh, a tank. A tank, obviously. There we go. There we go. Look at that. See? This is true horseshoe theory, okay? This is almost divine in its wisdom. I encourage all of you, okay, to spread this wisdom around. From the mouth of babes, all right? And I am but a child. This is so fucking frustrating to me because there is so much confusion over what tanky means. People like they don't like, oh, tanky? Huh, you mean anyone who isn't an anarchist? No, fucking fuck off, okay? I'm fine conceptually with Maoists and MLs, even though I disagree with them in a wide variety of ways. We have very closely shared material interests. You and I both care about workers' liberation. We both care about equality. We go about it in different ways. Hey, why don't we overthrow capitalism together? And then, after we've done that, we can have a big fucking argument and kill each other to settle our differences about where we go after that point. First, capitalism. Second, brutal sectarian murder. Okay? Does that sound good? All right? Cool? Good? However, tankies aren't just that. You don't have to look very far online to find tankies. Go to our communism. Go to fucking our Communism 101 on Reddit. You'll go there and you'll find threads defending current day China that have like lists of citations about how all criticisms of them are like revisionist dog shit. All of them are Western imperialism. All of them are fucking American propaganda. And those fucking comment threads look every bit as biased and stupid as fucking poll threads or the Donald threads written about Antifa. Like they're every bit as fucking revisionist, every bit as ahistorical, every bit is clearly biased. They just serve a different autocratic, authoritarian regime. So I'm like, cut it out. Please, God. Camera, you good? You want to focus, buddy? There you go. Good job, camera. Cut it the fuck out. Please, God. Stop. If you're a tanky here, please fuck off. There is a reason why I have very deliberately scrubbed my content of any sort of even remotely tanky fucking memorabilia. There is a reason for that shit, okay? And it's because you ruined it. I would have had fun waving the fucking USSR flag around. I would have had fun with the gold stars and the hammer and sickles and the big T-80s. I can't do that anymore because of dipshits like you who care about aesthetics over virtue, who care about style over substance, and who will unironically promote reactionary talking points using the guise of like previous leftist movements. Please fuck off. Here's a great example, by the way. People who think that tanky is in any way equivocable to the term anarchity. Okay, so here's a tankie. A tankie is the person I've described. Brutal state authoritarianism. Anything bad about the countries that I like is Western propaganda. DRPK is good. Stalinism is good. Current day China is good. Assad is good. All these things are good. Anyone who says otherwise is a Western agent. The CIA is the one backing all the protesters in those respective countries. Who gives a fuck about workers' rights? These are tankies. Miserable people. All right? What does anarchiddy mean? ANARKIDDIE. Anarchiddy. Anarchiddy is a derogatory term for an anarchist, which ascribes to them immaturity, juvenility, ineffectiveness. Basically, you're just like a little baby. You're like a little baby boy, and you like anarchism because it sounds nice. Okay, so that's like a LARPer, right? Kind of like an ineffective LARPer, kind of. So what is a tankie? A tankie is somebody whose politics are virtually indistinguishable from that of a fucking Strasserite, who promotes brutal state authoritarianism and suppresses workers' rights as long as they're wearing the right color flag. And an anarchiddy is someone who likes anarchism, but they're kind of, you know, maybe a little annoying or ineffectual or LARPy about it. The fact that these two terms are considered equivocable here is indicative of the extent to which tankies have been allowed to dominate discourse in leftist circles. Especially because anarchiddy refers to all anarchists, whereas tankie refers to an extremely specific subset of like state leftists. Cut that shit out. If you're a tankie in my chat right now, please, God, why? Like, why? Why do you follow me? What the fuck are you getting from me? I'm not here really propping up your aesthetics. I'm not here supporting your dumb shit takes. I'm here actually trying to advocate for, like, baseline leftist principles. Or, you know, I mean, I try. I have a Pop-Tart now and again, but I try my best, you know? Oh, God. Red brownism is something people have yet to fully digest. Tankies, Nazbols, national syndicates, specific dirtbag leftist, class reductionists, and fascists have a lot of fucking overlap. They have the same takes on Hong Kong right now because they are campists. They care about being in the right camp in geopolitics instead of being in a third camp that advocates for human liberation instead of this USA-centric world versus the rest wank. Oh, White Nervosa. Vosh, not to unrussell you, but I updated the feed to an experimental queue system, hoping that's the issue. If you messed up more or less fixed, let me know, and I'll revert ASAP. Gotcha. Well, I think, yeah, I'll let you know, okay? I'll let you know. Optimus Vosh, American. Isn't it a little unfair / inconvenient to label tankies as right-wingers? I didn't say they're right-wingers. I said that their aesthetics lead them essentially down the same road. But honestly, no. Every time I talk to tankies, they basically give me right-wing takes. Here's an authoritarian state. Criticizing them is bad. The protesters got what they deserved. Fuck those people. Fuck those cunts. Look at these degenerate fucking trans, gay fucking knee sock wearing Antifa, anarchiddies. It's counterproductive and divisive to argue for things like LGBT and racial equality. I get basically right-leaning takes from these people, and none of the states they support actively support the rights of workers. So I don't know what the fuck they're arguing for that is like on my side. This is the basic history of red brownism for those who are curious, but this is not a new phenomenon. Yeah, this is some third positionist shit. This is like super fucking common. Guys, I've argued with tankies, Strasserites, fucking third positionists, some people, they call it the new left, Stalinists, Maoist. All of these people's politics are virtually indistinguishable from one another. All of them think that people are stupid and you need a strong state authority, a brutally repressive state authority in some cases, to bring the workers' state in line, because that's the only way these people's material interests can be brought upon them from an entirely separate class dictating them through the power of the state. And any protesters who didn't like that got what they deserved when they were killed or massacred. And really, it's fucking degenerate. It's Western degeneracy. It's liberal degeneracy to focus on class politics or identity politics, because what it does is divide, and it divides the worker and separates us from our true struggle. These takes are exactly the same. They're identical. I'm not joking. I've had these conversations before. So tanky is just USSR aesthetics? No. I've talked, I think now for 30 minutes about what it means to be a tanky. I don't think I have said tanky is just USSR aesthetics at any point. Anyway, have I debated a tanky on stream recently? It'll be the same as debating Nazi chud, so it should be fun. Listen, I'm willing to tolerate leftist unity to an extent here, even with people I generally disagree with, but I genuinely believe that tankies are just reactionaries that wear red, okay? Cut it the fuck out. Guys, make these people irrelevant. Make them gone, okay? Make them fuck off. Who's the biggest tankies, like, online, right? Isn't it Finnish Bolshevik, who's had some really fucking weird cringe shit in the past? And Jason Unruh, who everyone, like, treats like a joke. Like, the biggest tankies that have, like, online presences right now are already fucking seeped in cringe. Like, quit making these people relevant. Just, like, quit making these ideologies relevant. Step the fuck back. Just stop. When I do my rhetoric stream, I am going to dedicate fucking 4 hours of it to telling you why defending the USSR is not how you advance socialism materially in the United States today. That's gonna be a significant portion of the fucking rhetoric stream. It's true, Dankula used to be a communist, probably tanky. Do you know how many fucking reactionaries and modern day Nazis I personally know who are like, yeah, I used to be a communist. I was big into the Stalin. Yeah, I was super into Mao and Stalin. I loved the tanks. I played Red Alert 3. Do you know how many people I know who are like that? Literally, Hypocrite said that, and now he's a Nazi. Please, shut the fuck up. How do you explain yourself to a liberal when you say the USSR had good and bad things you can learn from, and they think you're a tanky because you didn't know Stalin starved 1,000 trillion people every year? Well, that's not what a tanky is. Tankies don't say, hey, the USSR had some good and bad that we can learn from. That is not how tankies talk about the USSR. If liberals misappropriate the term tanky because they think it means anyone who says anything good about the USSR ever, then you can argue against that. I'm arguing against the kind of tanky that I think is a pervasive and very real threat to, like, substantive leftist discourse, but words are all fake. You say people should make tankies irrelevant, but I thought tankies were the majority of real-life leftists, people in Eastern Europe, Russia, Asia, etc. Am I wrong? No. Not even close. A lot of the people in Eastern Europe, Russia, Asia, etc. are there. These people may be Maoists or fucking Marxist-Leninists, but they are not tankies. Tankies stem from a very privileged position of like Western sort of supervision, because it is tankies who will argue against workers' rights in foreign countries if they do so against state authoritarians who the tanky is like deems themselves in favor of. Speaking of this, do you think the Holodomor was deliberate? No. I mean, I think it was negligent. I don't think it was deliberate. Please read this. The thing is, the USSR supporters don't LARP about the authoritarianism, instead argue that those societies were not as authoritarian as they made out. Ganas 33. I'm aware of that. The USSR is not nearly as bad as Western imperialist propagandists will make it out to be. But there are people who will unironically defend everything the USSR did. Unironically. Guys, you say I should debate a tanky? I did debate a tanky. The one tanky I've debated on this channel, like a real debate, who I think I crushed, by the way, was Pastel, one of the people who later accused me of sexually harassing them. And they were, in addition to being a tanky who fervently defended the USSR and Stalin, anti-gay, anti-trans, thoroughly reactionary, and a religious evangelicist. So that's my one experience with it. People in Russia hate anything that's even slightly left within their country. They think all liberals are like those liberals in the 90s. They're authoritarian still, but don't care whether it's left or right. I don't give a fuck what the people in Russia think. The people in Russia are reactionary. Isn't their country like fervently... Nah, fuck Russia. I don't give a fuck about Russia. Wasn't pastel envy, though? Well, self-hate is a thing. I fervently defend that young Stalin fucks. You can fervently defend that young Stalin fucks if you want to. Anyway, I'm done with this topic. Just please, God, please fucking God, if you're a tanky, stop. You're clearly not actually into leftism. I've talked to so many of you and none of you have been. To be fair, everyone who's accused you of sexual misconduct has been fucking insane. Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? I genuinely don't know how people could go from communism, anarchism, socialism to a fascism or even conservatism. Can you explain how there could be a pipeline? There isn't a pipeline unless you're a tanky. I have never met someone who is a real socialist, an actual socialist, who fully believes, yes, democratic ownership of the workplace. Yes, full egalitarianism, rights for everyone, disestablishment of hierarchy. I have never met someone who was that go over to being a fascist. I have never seen that in my entire life. I have never seen that. It has never happened in front of me. But I have seen tons of people swap back and forth from being reactionaries who support Hitler to reactionaries who support Stalin. These edgy LARPers who care about nothing but power and aesthetics, lonely drifters in life, who are angry at how their life has turned out. They don't know why, but they're willing to set their sights on anything to alleviate that sense of guilt, to place the blame anywhere but themselves. Some of them will get really invested into the, here, you want the full arm? Some of them will get really invested into the armbands, the brown shirts, the fucking SS uniforms, the funny hats, and they'll go full down white nationalism. And ooh, what are the problems with society? Well, my job was taken by a fucking brown person. Black people keep fucking my women. That's what's been fucking me over. Yeah, sure. Or you can go fucking the other direction. You play Red Alert 3. You watch fucking too many like poorly translated 1980s like Soviet films. Okay. You go the other fucking direction. Oh, actually, it's degeneracy and capitalism that have been fucking me over. But you keep the exact same reactionary politics. You keep the exact same glorification of aesthetic. You keep the exact same ignorance of fundamental, like, philosophical root processes that are supposed to ground political, like, decision making. You lose all of the good. You keep all of the bad. Modern Russian fascists literally idealize Stalin. Why wouldn't they? Stalin is a strong man who locked up gays, promoted state strength, and gave everyone a sense of purpose. He was highly militaristic and had a dope-ass uniform and a rockin' stash. Why the fuck would they not support him? Fascists love Stalin, as long as you get the right set of aesthetics to complement the appreciation. Honestly, I don't think there were as many tankies that you describe. Dude, Ganes33, most leftist spaces online have been infiltrated by tankies or were made by tankies. Most leftist spaces online. I mean full leftist, not just left-leaning, like full-on seize the state leftist. Most of them are tanky-oriented. This is like a real thing. You think they're infiltrating? I mean, yeah, or they made them. Where can we buy your shirt? It's the same place that I had the green shirt from. I'll have a link to the store sometime soon. Tankies took over lefty pull and full communism. Yep, tankies took over lefty pull, full communism. They a ton of them in stupid pull. Fucking communism 101. Our socialism. We're just talking Reddit here. Our socialism. Well, lefty pull is not Reddit, but yeah. Our socialism. Communism versus capitalism. Basically, any sub oriented around communism. All of them are like tanky derivative. Pig Puncher, is that like a meme, or are you saying my fucking, ooh, my pecs are popping? Ooh. Any good leftist subreddits that haven't been infiltrated by tankies? Chapo's 50-50. Star Frosty isn't the same kind of dirtbag. I crack rissy jokes. Real workers take it. Yeah, and I'm like, when I think dirtbag leftist, I think edgy. I'm not class reductionist at all. Most of my channel is dedicated to fighting, like, against class reductionist language. I don't think you can have a workers' revolution unless it's been done hand in hand with a revolution against racial supremacy, a revolution against sexism, a revolution against transmisogyny. I believe that. I want people hand in hand playing Red Rover against the state. All of us together, comrades, charging forward, okay? I'm very anti-class reductionist. I hate that shit. I hate tankies. But I'm edgy. A lot of labels here. A lot of things get confused. We should have killed the Brits for what they did to the world. Can you quit fucking Brit posting down there? We're very anti-political violence here on this stream. Now stop saying the N-word and the R-word. I think I've said the N-word once over 8 months of streaming, and it was in a stream with other people who were like letting it dribble out of their mouth. The fuck do you mean? Okay, that's nice, Vosh. You're only a true leftist once you've met my arbitrary standard of purity for language usage. Get out of here. Why do reactionaries need to say, oh, I was a commie before I went right wing? What's their reason? Because when you say I used to be a blank, but now I've moved to that, what you're essentially saying is I have considered the positions of this political ideology, found them to be lacking, and have now moved over here. But in reality, when people jump in between the left and the right, it's usually because they're like working at two like close interstices, you know? You know the interstice in Berserk? The place where it's close between the ethereal plane and the material plane, that's what Tankies are. Tankies are the interstice between fascist fascist aesthetics and leftist materialism. That's the fucking intersection right there. And because that those two things get so close together at that point, you can jump between the two. Are you for political violence off stream? Oh no. Never. What do you think lefties can do on an educational front to help combat tanky bullshit? I'm planning on doing a historical series collective. You curious about their positions here? Okay, Ali Akais, here's what we need to do to deal with tankies, because they're a real fucking problem. I'm not joking. These people's politics are not that different from Strasserites. They're reactionaries. They're our enemies. They're enemies of the people. They're enemies of our worker comrades. They're enemies of any marginalized group, racial, gender, sexual. They're enemies of us. They're bad people, or at least they're confused, okay? And we can fix that. Here's what we need to do. For one, stop promoting leftist sectarianism, okay? We all should be working together to deal with capitalism in the here and now. We can fucking figure out which particular flavor of Marxism or anarchism or communism or whatever comes afterwards, okay? Tankies thrive on that sectarian bullshit because they get to pose themselves as the strongmen there. They like that strongman aesthetic. Whereas we can argue about how we would engage in the revolution, what can be done, and how do we do this or that. Tankies can be like, well, if I just had my Kalashnikov, I could pop a few shots off at the White House. Really, no cost is too great to pay for an end of Western imperialism. I'm going to make Stalin look like a fucking anarchist. Tanks are going to roll down Main Street, and the rivers will run red with blood. They can fucking LARP about how brutal they'll be. The divisiveness amongst leftist groups allows them that wedge to feel very special and important and pretend they have very large peepees, okay? Don't give them that shit. If you're actually interested in promoting leftism and you hear people talking like that, ask them, like, what the fuck do you mean? What are you saying? How does that help anyone? Where are you getting tanks from? How are you securing the state afterwards? What the fuck are you doing? You're LARPing. Shut the fuck up. Unless they are like Joe. If they're being memey, like go ahead. Like everyone can be memey. Say whatever you want. But if that's like unironically their political position, shoot them down. That's some stupid shit. Nobody benefits from that. They're just fucking memeing. They're I'd beat capitalism back so hard. And then after I'm done, every worker who didn't support the revolution, they're all revisionists. Nah, get that shit out of here. Okay? Fuck those people. So cut out with the sectarianism, but call people out when they're doing LARPy bullshit. Because that LARPy bullshit is like a number one plusso indicator of like tanky apologia. 2, this is big, cut out with the fucking aesthetics. Stop with the glorification of aesthetics. Leftism can take any color, any set of memorabilia, any flag. We don't need a symbol. We don't need iconography to defend our movement, because the way in which we defend our movement will not be through symbols, but through rhetoric. When I want to convince an American worker to become a socialist, I'm not going to go up to them waving the fucking red flag with the gold star. Comrade, have you considered the superiority of... No, fuck that. Absolutely. I'll walk up to them while they're on their lunch break and I'll sit down, the clap of my ass cheeks dummy thick as they fucking hit the pavement. I'll sit my ass right down, shuffle my legs on up to them until my thigh is touching theirs. I'll lean in close and I'll say, hey buddy, Worker productivity has been on the rise for 50 years. Your real wages are going down. There's something wrong, isn't there? I'm gonna slide into them with some fucking Bernie shit. Because that shit works. That shit is effective. I'm going to get them with that. We don't need a fucking symbol. What does a symbol add to that? What? You can have a symbol for your own little movement, for your group, for your sect, your cult, I don't know, whatever you're into. But in terms of a broader symbol to define leftism, what the fuck do we need that for? Why? So stop with the aesthetics. Guys, stop with the aesthetics. Like, fuck off with it, okay? Are you going to stop calling us comrades? No, comrades I really, really like. I want to normalize comrades. But in terms of, because that's not like a tanky thing, like tons of leftists call each other comrades. But in regards to like, how to like present yourself, why does every lefty channel online have to be fucking red and gold? Can you calm the fuck down? Like, just stop. Cut out. Stop. Commie channels can be whatever color you want. You can present them however you want. Stop with the weird Russian invocations. Stop with the furry hats. Stop with the tanks. Stop. So all aesthetics you don't like? Well, the problem is, valuing aesthetics over ideology or over material analysis is a great way to attract people who don't actually believe the things you believe, but just like jerking off to the same color flag. You took them out. You know where I put them? No, I have no idea, but you did take them out. They were there and then they weren't there. Okay, I can't find them. Godspeed, I love you. Okay. Can you pick up that bag in the back real slow? Guys, wait, okay, memes aside, how much does my ass show? Like, wait, how? Yeah, I guess that's... Yeah, I guess that's there. Even back before I got fat, I've always been pretty thick. I have wide hips and wide shoulders and shit. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I didn't mean to ramble about Tankies for an hour at the beginning of stream. Oh, boy. Okay. Do you draw a line between ML, MLM, Gonzalite, and Tanky? I mean, I don't think that MLs and MLMs are necessarily Tankies. I'm not sure anti-sectarianism even works. It's not having basic standards. It's let tanking class reductionists get their claws all over online lefty communities. We need community building to eject reactionary LARPing and fascist entryists. The problem is, how can we even create that community? One step at a time, comrade. Let's start here, huh? This is a very anti-tanky, somewhat large lefty community. Let's build it up from there, huh? Thoughts on mutualists? Everyone should suck my dick. Anyway, one last thing. Okay, listen. Here's the fucking gold standard, okay? Alright, here's the amazing gold standard that we need, okay? Point number 1. A leftist, somebody who allies themselves with leftism, should be in favor of workers' rights. They should be in favor of economic liberation from capitalism. They should be in favor of some kind of democratic workplace. They should be in favor of some kind of seizing the means of production. That's number 1, okay? Number 2, they should be in favor of equality. They should be anti-reactionary. They should be in favor of unification, fraternity, brotherhood, bringing people together, accepting people as they are, allowing people to live free lives, not accusing them of being degenerate products of Western shit like that, okay? And number 3, boop. There we go. What a beautiful 3. And number 3, they should be in favor, at least to some extent, of revolutionary action. Not to exclude reformists in the immediate sense, but as in they are not of the opinion that electoralism will carry us 100% to victory. I'm willing to work with people who are more electoralist because I consider this more like a practical, like materialist position over like idealized liberal horseshit. But so actually, just these 2 points. You know what? Just these 2. I can work with reformists. I can meet fucking across the aisle with them. They serve purposes, but I want these 2 things. Symbols are available to those of us who aren't debate gods, though. Should we shut up if we can't argue the superiority of policy or dunk on fallacies presented by the right? Victor, yeah, you should shut up unless you can do a decent job arguing in favor of your proposals. Absolutely. Yeah. But the symbols weren't going to help you. It's not as though you were going to like lose a debate with somebody like a right-leaning worker and then like you pull out the fucking red flag and they like side with you. You wouldn't have like it wouldn't give you anything. You're not losing anything. All right. That's enough of this horse shit. That is entirely too much of this horse shit, in fact. What to tell Steven, who thinks revolution equals tanky? Well, if Steven ever gets around to talking to me, I'll tell him very aggressively.